Hi, this is Wake Up the Vote again, and we're going to Blake Stansel. He's going to talk to us a little bit about media corruption in politics. Blake, you just watched the recent Democratic town hall. Give us some feedback about watching that debate and tell us what you thought.
Thanks for having me. In terms of corruption, like you said, I think there's a lot that people don't understand. The media is slanted definitely in certain ways towards certain candidates. For example, in the most recent Democratic town hall, we saw Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton, and Martin O'Malley all come up and answer questions from CNN moderators and also the audience. Now, if you look at it, you might think the audience was just asking questions that they wrote down that they felt. But all those questions are vetted by CNN, and they pick the questions they like to ask the candidates. And just I'd like to take a second to really talk about that and media corruption. First thing I'd like to say is CNN, who hosted the debate, and Chris Cuomo, who moderated it, their parent company is called Time Warner. Time Warner has donated over $650,000 to the Hillary Clinton campaign. So I feel like there's a financial investment in her winning. And I think the questions that were asked were a representation of this. I mean, let me take a look at my notes. If you look at it initially, the questions that were asked to Bernie Sanders and then the questions that were asked to Hillary Clinton, I think it was completely unfair and completely slanted towards the Clinton campaign. The first question Bernie Sanders received was, "You are a self-proclaimed socialist, and how do you get Americans to kind of settle with the fact that you are a self-proclaimed democratic socialist and that you will raise taxes?" I think that's a fair question. It's a hardball question that you need to ask candidates, especially someone like Bernie Sanders who claims to be a socialist. But I think when you look at the three questions he was asked, the initial three questions, and you look at the ones Hillary was asked, he really got a lot of hardball questions and she really got a lot of softball questions. After asking Bernie, was he a socialist, the second question was to Bernie Sanders, you do plan to raise taxes, and he didn't try to specifically tell what Bernie Sanders raising taxes would entail. It basically was just getting the point across that taxes would be raised. The third question that Bernie Sanders received is, are you bringing back the era of big government? And even when Bernie Sanders tried to explain how he was going to change government, Chris Cuomo kept going back to that point that big government still would come. So just to recap, the first three questions: you are a proclaimed socialist, you will raise taxes for people in this country, and you are in favor of bringing big government back and bigger government to the United States. And I don't think these questions are completely out of bounds because these are all questions that Bernie Sanders needs to answer, frankly. But when you take a look at the questions that Hillary Clinton, the Democratic frontrunner, received later, I think it is very disproportionate. The first question she was asked was about Barack Obama saying she was wicked smart and the most qualified to be the leader of this country. And he asked her, how do you feel about this endorsement? I don't feel like that is an indictment of her policy at all. I don't feel like that is asking her a tough question. That's asking her, why does the president think you will make such a great president? The second question that was asked to Hillary Clinton was, how, with all the experience you have, and the second time you're running for president, are you in a dead heat race with a 74-year-old self-proclaimed socialist called Bernie? And I think not only is that a knock at Bernie Sanders, that is an easy way for Hillary Clinton to explain. That's basically saying, why do you have to be in this race? You shouldn't be in this race with him. The third question that was asked are that Republicans are always coming up with ways to tear you down, and you have a lot of critics, and you still come out clean on the other side. How do you keep fighting, basically, and how do you keep doing well even though all these people are coming up against you? And when you look at the questions in contrast, I believe it's very slanted. I mean, when you look at it, the three questions were asking Hillary Clinton how great you've been for the recent 10, 20 years. The questions were to Bernie Sanders, what will you do to damage the country? And I think when you look deeper into the statistics, too many people don't look into that, you will figure out that there is a financial investment in it. Like I said, Time Warner is a parent company of CNN. They control CNN. They have donated over $500,000 to the Hillary Clinton campaign. And I'm not saying that Hillary Clinton is a bad candidate or shouldn't be president of the United States or is not qualified to be president of the United States. Hillary Clinton was actually my first choice for president of the United States. But as I've watched the process unfold, it's made me more and more uneasy about how finances play a role in picking our politicians. And if you look at it, CNN especially, is setting up a race for Hillary Clinton against Donald Trump because they believe Donald Trump will be the easiest victory for Hillary Clinton. And they have over $500,000 just this year, and I'm not sure about in previous years, just this year they have over $500,000 invested in Hillary Clinton becoming the nominee. Hillary Clinton doesn't want to raise taxes for the rich, which would be the moderators and the high-ups at CNN. And so if you look at Chris Cuomo and Anderson Cooper, who both used to work for the Clinton campaign, and you look at people like Poppy Harlow and Don Lemon, who make 6-7 figures a year, they're the ones who will be affected if Bernie Sanders does raise taxes. It won't be the average man, it will be them. And if you look at what business will be affected, CNN will be affected. Time Warner will be affected. They make millions, billions of dollars every single year broadcasting the news. And so if Bernie Sanders decides to make them pay their fair share of taxes, then it will affect them financially. So I think the financial system, and by how much money you can provide to companies and people and help people keep their money who already have a lot of money, plays too big a role. If they elect Hillary Clinton, and I'm not sure what Hillary Clinton's actual views on, but I think it's a puppeteering act almost. I think they're able to pick candidates, and they're able to pay Hillary Clinton's salary over $500,000, like I said, and then tell her, you're not going to raise our taxes. You're not going to make it more difficult for us to move our money overseas, and then turn around and say, we'll help you get elected. I mean, if you watch MSNBC and CNN, you'll see that the headline after the debate was not anything about Bernie Sanders, not anything about Hillary Clinton, or Martin O'Malley. It was Bernie Sanders, we will raise your taxes. That was the headline of CNN. Online, also that was their headline after the debate on television. So when you tune in and see, and you don't really look into all the intricacies of what's going on, what you see is Bernie Sanders is going to raise our taxes. Bernie Sanders is a socialist. Bernie Sanders is coming for your money, which is not true, because the taxes he's proposing to raise are that of people making 6, 7, 8 figures, and those are the people who are working high up in CNN. So I think corruption is playing way too big of a part, and that's why I've switched my vote from Hillary Clinton to Bernie Sanders. I believe that his grassroots approach, getting small donations from college students and people within the ages of 18 to 30, I think that's the way you need to approach politics. We need to have a fair vote. We don't need billionaires deciding who is our president in this country, and we're kind of led like sheep in a certain direction to think that we're picking the president, but we're really not, because all the headlines we read from news outlets that are supposed to be bipartisan, or news outlets that are supposed to be middle of the aisle and are not supposed to be slanted towards one candidate or other, we see continuously the DNC, CNN, slant towards Hillary Clinton, and that's because they have financially invested in her winning, and the policy she will implement will help them in the long run. I think that's a corrupt system, and I think Bernie Sanders has been calling that out, for them to call him out, people don't realize. People might not think of CNN as one of those big corporations like Goldman and Sachs and some of the corporations that he's saying, some of these Wall Street corporations. But CNN makes billions of dollars every year. CNN is one of the big corporations he's talking about. CNN is one of the big corporations he's speaking about. And when you look and you see someone like Donald Trump, they cover his event for veterans instead of, which by the way, Donald Trump's event that was for veterans, that CNN covered because they said it was for veterans. If we dig deeper into it, let's look at the real facts here. That money, that $5 million went to the Donald J. Trump Foundation. It did not go to any veteran organization. It did not go to any Wounded Warrior Project or anything like that. What it went to was the Donald J. Trump Foundation, because veterans didn't want to take that money. They thought it was a show put on. And then you have campaigns like Carly Fiorina and Ted Cruz who come out and say, we'll donate $1.5 million to veterans if Donald Trump will debate us. This is not a game. These people fight and die for our rights, and then you want to come out and say you'll only give money to them if you can get a political advantage from it. I don't think that's truly caring about veterans. I think that is saying that you don't care about veterans. That is saying that if I get what I want, I'll let you have a little bit of the money. If you have $1.5 million laying around and you can donate that at the drop of a hat, and you really care about the veterans, you would have donated it without having Donald Trump come to debate you. Donald Trump should not have to come to a debate stage and debate Carly Fiorina or Ted Cruz one-on-one just so they will donate money to our wounded veterans. These are the same people who fight and die for us to have elections like this. And I think the political process has been rigged. I think the political process is rigged on both sides. And it took me a while to realize it, but this is the first real presidential campaign. I was a little bit involved in Barack Obama's in 2008 and 2012, but I was in school, either in high school or in college, so I didn't have the time to really dive into it that much. But if you really take the time and look at it and study what's going on, it's an extremely corrupt system. Billionaires are paying for our presidential candidates. Not only are they picking the candidates, they're picking the winners. And if we ever want to get to a true democracy where the common man can pick who is going to lead us and the common man can pick what policies are going to be implemented, we need to get away from this corrupt system. I mean, you have companies like Goldman Sachs and Philadelphia investment banks donating to these huge campaigns and paying all these millions of dollars for their interest. And then they turn around and they get huge tax loopholes and are able to send their monies overseas so they don't have to pay the same fair share that we have to pay. If I took my money and I sent it overseas and didn't pay taxes on it, the FBI would be knocking down my door. Yet, government officials create loopholes that huge corporations can do that exact same thing, who have 18 times more money than I'll ever make in a lifetime. And so I think it is extremely corrupt and extremely backwards, and it's going to take us a lot to it's going to take a lot for us to be able to overcome that. It is going to take a political revolution. And I don't agree with everything Bernie Sanders says, but a political revolution is what we need in this country. We cannot have billionaires buying politicians. Hillary Clinton and Martin O'Malley, Ted Cruz, all these people who have these huge super PACs paying millions of dollars, they can come out and say whatever they want on the campaign trail. But if that super PAC takes away its $5 million contributions to your campaign, it's going to hurt them a lot, and they won't be able to do the things that they said they were going to do. They're fighting for the interest of people paying for their campaigns. Basically, they're saying the only way you can get to office is by me backing you. And if you want to get to office, what you need to do is you need to do what I want. And we will put hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars towards you getting elected. So it's a give and take. And I understand that might have been the way in the past, but this is 2015. The world is changing. And we need something different. We need a political revolution. 2016, excuse me.
What does a political revolution look like, Blake?
A political revolution means not bowing down to the billionaires of Wall Street. A political revolution means not bowing down to people who have no money. When the founding fathers set up this great country in our Constitution, I don't think they envisioned whoever has the most money can pay for all the policies. That's not what democracy stands for. That's not what democracy means. And I think a lot of politicians need to pick up a dictionary and literally look what the republic is. A lot of people want to say we're not exactly a democracy. Look what a republic is. Look what a democracy is. The people's voice needs to be heard. And by feeding the people false information or slanted information to make them vote for who you want, that's not fair game. That's not how the political process should be. We should be able to look at the issues objectively and decide who we want to lead the free world. And that's why I've switched my vote. That's why I believe that Bernie Sanders will be the next president of the United States, and we will have a political revolution under him, because I think he will go after Wall Street. He's not taking big endorsements from these huge companies paying him millions of dollars on campaign trails. He's taking small contributions, $25, $50, $100 from college students like me, and from veterans, and from normal working people, middle class. That's the people who should be paying into your campaign. And there's nothing wrong with big companies wanting to support you, but if they'll only support you if you do their bidding, I think that's wrong.
Thank you so much, Blake, for the time spent with Wake Up the Vote, the youth point of view. We appreciate it so much. One last question. You've expressed a lot of things that many people miss when they're watching debates, or when they're even, just going about their daily lives and they pick up sound bites. How would you instruct us as voters on how to listen more intently to what politicians are saying? It seems like we've been lulled to sleep. That's why we have Wake Up the Vote. A little dig there, a little advertisement there. But we've been lulled to sleep by our inability to hear what's really being said. So what would your advice be for the average voter when they're watching CNN and MSNBC and many of the other NBC, ABC, many of these other stations that you say are really in the bag for a certain candidate? How do we open our eyes so that we're not lulled to sleep and we get into positions where our people are elected as our officials who are not doing what's in the best interest of this country?
I think it's difficult. I mean, I think one thing that they count on is that people going throughout everyday life won't have time to fact check the fact checkers. And if you look, CNN, Fox News, they're always talking about fact checking candidates. Who fact checks them? Who looks up their statistics? Who's the one who goes online and finds out if they're talking about is really true? Really go do your research. And it's hard for people and I understand people going through their everyday lives. They have work, they have children, they have school, and it's hard, but they count on that. They count on our inability to take the time to fact check them. If you watch Fox News, you would think our country's in the worst shape it's ever been. If you watch MSNBC, you think our country's in the best shape it's ever been. And neither are truly correct. You have to go on and do your own individual research if you truly care about the future of your country and the future of your children, because these policies will affect your children down the road. They'll affect how much you're paying for college. They'll affect how much you're paying in taxes. They'll affect small businesses. They will affect the country in a huge way. And so I think if you truly care about the future of this nation, the future of the economy, you have to do your own research. CNN is never going to come on and tell you that we're owned by Time Warner, and Time Warner donates over $500,000 to Hillary Clinton. Fox News is never going to come on and tell you that the parent companies of Fox News are in bed with the Republican establishment, why they don't want Donald Trump to be the front runner, why they don't want Donald Trump to be the Republican nominee. They can say it's because they don't like his rhetoric. And if you look at the Fox rhetoric, it's been way worse than Donald Trump has said. Look when Barack Obama was elected president. We have people on Fox News calling this man a Muslim and a monkey, and he's not really an American. I don't think you could all of a sudden have this epiphany where all of a sudden it's morally repugnant to say anything negative about candidates. But Donald Trump, they want to call him a demagogue for doing so. And I don't believe a lot of things Donald Trump says, and I don't support a lot of things Donald Trump says. But the reason is they have already financially invested in their candidates. They have financially invested in a candidate who will do the things that they need to get done, that they want to get done. And so when another candidate comes out of the left field, like Bernie Sanders, or from a crazy far right like Donald Trump, they can't handle it. They do whatever they can to get that person off center stage. And I don't think it's right. And the only way we can do it is by going looking. If you go look online, the internet is a great tool. We all have it. And the beautiful thing is, in 2016, unlike in years previous, we all have it in our pockets now. You can go on your phone and you can look it up. Look who contributes to CNN, and then look who contributes to Hillary Clinton. Look who contributes to Marco Rubio and Jeb Bush, and then look who contributes to Fox News. You'll see the same names up there, and you'll see huge numbers. I'm talking about hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. And if you think someone can spend millions of dollars trying to get a candidate elected and they're just going to roll over and let someone else beat him, no, because that's throwing their money out the window, and they will not do that. Also, if you elect these outsiders, these non-politicians, these people who are not in bed with the establishment, Democratic or Republican, they might change the status quo that these companies and corporations are so used to. If I can't go hide my money in an offshore account somewhere and not have to pay taxes, I might not be able to have 3 private jets. That is what they're worried about. And we look at it as these tiny problems. That's not what it is. They don't really care about the problems about boots on the ground and these grassroots problems that they talk about. They care about keeping money in the pockets of people who already have money. And if you think about the corruption and you talk about it, how on Wall Street we had to go bail out Wall Street, but none of them are selling their jets and helicopters. None of them are selling their million-dollar yachts. None of them went to jail. These practices are illegal. If you even look at the Attorney General of the United States, who said Wall Street is too big to prosecute. What? When in this country can you get too rich to prosecute? Excuse me, I'm getting a little excited, but how can you become too rich to prosecute? You can do illegal activity in this country because you have so much money and so much influence. Political figures won't come after you because you pay their salary. And it's ridiculous, really. And until we take the time, do our research, figure out what is really going on, and fight back against it, then it will always be the status quo. We wonder why things don't change. It's because billionaires don't want things to change. They want that money to stay in their family. They want that money to keep growing, and they will do whatever they can to keep it growing. If you look at some of the biggest contributors, the most influential people in the Republican and Democratic Party, are billionaires, multi-billionaires who donate billions and billions of dollars and then have private meetings with candidates before they go on stage for debates. They have private meetings with candidates before they go into town halls. And it is absolutely ridiculous. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's just. I mean, if I all of a sudden was a billionaire, I'm a Democrat and I'm proud of that. But if all of a sudden I came into $3-4 billion, I think I could go buy the next presidential election. And that shouldn't be the case.
Okay, well, Blake, I'd like to say this one last thing. When Barack Obama ran for president, he was the grassroots guy. He was the guy that was going to change things. He started the small campaign donations. He started the youth vote. He encouraged the youth vote. He inspired people. We really thought we were going to get the candidate of our choice at that time, the people's candidate, not the billionaires' candidate. We thought he was going to be revolutionary and changing the way politics was done today. But what we found out was once you get to the top, it's very hard to change the institution once you're there, because people will fight you tooth and nail not to get it done. And we'll touch on that at a different time. But this is Wake Up the Vote coming to you live again tonight. We hope that you'll take time out to watch this video after it's not live and listen to some of the facts that were given to you and see if you can become a more informed voter about what's going on in not only nationwide for politics, but locally as well. We thank you so much tonight, Blake, for coming on as for the youth vote and telling us what you thought. We invite you to come back, Blake, at the next Democratic Town Hall. Right after he goes back, we're going to do another live broadcast, and we'd like for you to give us some of your insights that you find, that the things that you find that alert you, or what you find that's interesting and introspective about that town hall.
Sadly, I will not be able to attend that town hall. I'll be leaving. I have some training to do, and I won't be able to attend. But as soon as I get back, I'd love to come and join Wake Up the Vote as soon as possible.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Blake. Have a great night.
You too. Thank you.